What's up, everybody? This is MJ, and welcome to our Wednesday training broadcast for this week. Hope you're having a fabulous week, and I hope that you are a little bit curious about what today's training is going to be about. It just came to me on this past Sunday. I was sitting and looking around my house, and I was looking at the decorations, and I was like, that picture on the wall over there really helped me get started in my business. And I started thinking about that, the ways that this special picture helped me to get started in my business. And first, I'm going to show you the picture in case you did not see it in my event. So this picture right here that's covering up my face is a picture that's just inside the front door at my house. And this picture of these two elephants, along with two other pictures in my house that are of an African theme, I purchased them at the same time way back in 2005. So 16 plus years ago, I bought this picture and two other pictures along with a bunch of other African decorations that they were selling at Target at the time. They were actually clearing it out, and I spent a bunch of money on a bunch of decorations. So I bet you're going to be wondering when I tell you this, that I did not put this picture on my wall for 12 years. This picture and the two other ones that are not showing, I never hung them on the walls at my house, the house I used to have. I lived there for 12 years. I had these pictures almost the entire time. All the other decorations I bought that day, I actually hung on, or I put them on the shelves. They were like statues and other things, and I put them out, but I kept these pictures put away in the basement. I would see them every once in a while, but I never put them up. And the reason that I didn't put them up is what we're going to be talking about today. Because the bottom line is I did not hang these pictures for one, because my mother, she's a big time interior decorator, right? She's the one that knows exactly what you should do to make your home look beautiful. And I knew just from being around her that there is a certain place that you should hang pictures, a certain way you should hang them, so that it looks like, you have a professional or stylish home decor, right? You don't want them to be crooked. You don't want them to be spaced wrong. You want them to put them on the right wall and in the right place in the room. And so because I didn't know those things, I didn't ask her to come help me do it, but I was afraid to make the choice about where to hang them and what to do with the pictures. I literally allowed fear to stop me from hanging those pictures on the wall. And this went on year after year after year. I kept telling myself, one day I'm going to put those pictures up on the wall. Then after a while, it wasn't just the fear of putting them upright. Then it also became that I didn't want to, I was going to wait until I got everything else right. I was painting, I was taking down wallpaper, I was knocking down walls, I was redecorating my home. And so I kept saying, eventually I'm going to hang them up after I'm able to get everything else perfect in my house. Then I will put the pictures up. And so that went on year after year. And even as the house started to look better and better and better, I still never hung the pictures up, mainly again, out of fear of doing something wrong. The fear of putting the pictures up wrong robbed me of an entire 12 years of enjoying my pictures. Now, fortunately, I had not spent a lot of money on those pictures. However, I bought them because I liked them. I bought them because I wanted to see them up in my home. But it took me selling that house after 12 years of living there with my family, building a new house, and moving into this house and saying, okay, we're not going to have another 12 years of the pictures sitting in a box collecting dust. And fortunately for me, these particular pictures were pretty much ageless and timeless. So even though here we are 16 years later and I've been enjoying them for the last few years, they are not out of fashion, and they do still look good in the rooms that I have them in. But as I was looking at these pictures and thinking about it, I started to see parallels between that and what happens with a lot of people with regards to starting their business, their shop, their boutique, the business that you want to start and build a household name for yourself. A lot of times the main thing that I hear when people talk about why they haven't done it is a fear of failure. a fear of the business not making any sales, not getting any customers, the fear of borrowing a business loan from the bank or from a private lender and not being able to pay it back, the fear that nobody will want what you have, the fear that people will judge you, the fear of leaving your comfortable, secure job and then not having something to fall back on, or the business not taking off as quickly and maybe you have to struggle a little bit. And that fear of failure, much like my fear of failing and hanging my pictures, has stopped a lot of you from making the move into entrepreneurship. And it might be as long as 12 years that you've had this idea. Some of the women I talk to, they've had the entrepreneurial spirit since they were children. And here they are in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, having not acted on it out of a fear of not wanting to fail. But here's what I know to be true. First of all, you get to decide what failure looks like for you. You get to decide what failure is. And so if you decide that anything happening in your business means that you are a failure, then that's the place that you will operate. If you decide that if the business doesn't make money, then that means that I have failed, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. What I have decided is that the business and me, and the business and I are not the same thing. You own your business. You will own your business. However, your business is not you. And so while your business might not do as well as you might want it to, that doesn't mean that you're a failure. I've decided that the only way that I fail is if I stop trying, if I give up on entrepreneurship altogether. And if I, for me, go back to, pushing a desk, being trapped in my cubicle prison. As long as I'm not doing that, I succeed. So this idea of a fear of failure, much like it stopped me from hanging 3 pictures. When I think about it now, it's absolutely ridiculous. Literally, I had these pictures for 12 years. Now, when I got in this house, I just picked a wall and put the pair of pictures up that went together. And then I picked that the elephants were going to go by the front door. And I've never thought about it ever since then. It was fine. I did not fail. And guess what? If it turned out the pictures weren't in the wrong place, what's the worst that could have happened? Because over at the other house, I was afraid, what if I put them in the wrong place and now I've got a hole in the wall and that's a big deal. Like you can't fill a hole and paint over top of it and it'd be fine. But that's where my mind was at. The same thing is true about your business. So what if you make mistakes? Every entrepreneur makes mistakes. They make a lot of mistakes. They make expensive mistakes. Most entrepreneurs have spent money. I'd say all entrepreneurs have spent money and not necessarily gotten a return on their investment. All it was that they were paying for a lesson that they learned for what not to do next time. So fear of failure, I learned from the elephant situation, the elephant picture situation, that I don't want to allow fear of failure to keep me from moving forward. It stopped me from 12 years of enjoying the pictures that I bought that I wanted to enjoy. And here's what else I learned. Remember, I told you I had bought 3 pictures that day, plus a bunch of other African artifacts. And these were actually from Africa. I remember I was surprised to see the stuff at Target because most of the stuff they have there is like, stuff from China, things of that nature. These were actually made in various countries on the continent of Africa. And I put those items out. I went ahead and decorated with those African items. They've been in my home for years. All of these years since 2005. I've been enjoying those items that were sitting out on my desk, sitting out on the shelves in my living room and in my bedroom, to the point where I've gotten rid of some of them because I got the use out of them and I've moved on. But here's why I was able to take a chance and put those items out. It's because they were low-hanging fruit. It was easy to just sit a statue or sit a vase out because I knew that if I put it in the wrong place, which how's it going to be in the wrong place if it's in my house and I own them? Like I decide what I like, right? But that's where my mind was at. But I can move them very easily. And a lot of you are doing the things in your business that seem easy, that are risk-free or low risk, that are easy to figure out, such as getting a website and buying a bunch of inventory. But here's what else is true. If you don't do the other things, if you don't go out there and lay the solid foundation for your business and do all those things that a lot of new entrepreneurs don't do, which are the challenging things, which are the scary things, which can be the more risky things, you're not going to be set up for success. It's easy to handle the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to run out on Wix or Weebly or Shopify and set up a site. But that doesn't mean anybody's going to come to it. That doesn't mean you're actually going to get any sales. If you're not willing, for example, to pay for advertising to get strangers to know who you are and come to your site, then you can have the greatest site. You can spend weeks months working on that site, it's just going to be another one of the millions and hundreds of millions of sites on the internet that nobody is going to. You know how when you Google something and you see the search results, how many of you go to page 2? Maybe back when I first started using the internet and when the internet was relatively new, we would go to page 2 and 3. But once they decided, or once they figured out how to make search results come to the top of them, or make certain websites come to the top of the search results, nobody goes to page 2 and 3 and a million. That's where sites can end up if they don't spend the right money and do the right work to make sure people know that they're there to come to them. So that low-hanging fruit, for me, those African artifacts that I had sitting out, it made it seem like, oh yeah, I'm using the stuff I bought that day. But I knew in the back of my mind that the pictures that I really enjoyed were not out. That's because they were, for some reason in my mind, they were more risky because of a hole in the wall. Right now I use command strips, right? So they don't even put holes in the wall. But that's where I was at. And if it can be something as simple as hanging pictures, imagine how much things that you're missing out on as far as with starting a business when you only go after the low-hanging fruit, the stuff that's easy. It's not easy to set up. I mean, it's not hard to set up a free website and take some pictures and put them out there, but that's not starting a business. And anybody that tells you it is, they don't know what they're talking about. That's just a website. That's not a business. And if you've spent I talk to people all the time who've spent $3,000 or $4,000 buying stuff to sell, but they have no idea how to sell it. They have no idea who they're going to sell to. They have no idea where their business is going. They have no infrastructure. They have none of that, but they're hemorrhaging thousands of dollars on inventory. Like if they buy more stuff, somehow people are going to know they're out there. That's like going out here and putting the statues out, but not hanging the pictures, right? That's what I learned. So that's the second thing I learned. And the third thing I learned from that beautiful picture, I'm going to show it again for those of you who showed up late. This is the picture I'm talking about. This one and 2 other pictures that I bought on the same day that it took me 12 years to hang on the wall. 12 years. It's extraordinary for me to think about that now. The third thing I learned from that experience was that, okay, so remember I told you in the beginning that I knew that there's a right way and a not so right way to hang pictures. And who did I learn that from? I learned that from my mother and from going to home shows all my childhood and looking at magazines and admiring interior decorating. I knew that there's a way that you can have pictures hung where it looks like a professional did it or you knew what you were doing. And then just a way you can do it where you're just slapping a nail up there. No shade if that's how you hang your pictures. You can hang your pictures how you want to. It's your business, your home. But because mom was the expert, mom's my interior decorator as far as I always get her opinion on things that I do. Because of that, why didn't I just ask that baby to come over there and hang those pictures for me? Why did I not ask my mother to come hang the pictures for me? She knew how to do it. She would have told me what wall to do it on. She would have hung it. They'd be level. They'd be spaced. It would have looked like I was at the Homerama. At least the pictures would have, if nothing else in the house. Why didn't I ask her for help? Because I kept telling myself, oh, all it is just hanging a picture. Everybody knows how to hang pictures. It's not that big a deal. It's just a nail in the wall. Why is it a big deal? I don't need to ask for help. I could have enjoyed my picture starting in 2005. And the reason I know it was 2005 is because recently, when I hung them up, the labels from Target with the copyright dates were still on them because I kept them on there so I'd know what countries the items came from, right? I could have been enjoying my pictures all that time up on the wall had I just asked for help. If I had just got the person that told me there's a right way to do it, just to come on over. She came in that house scores of times throughout that 12 years that I did not hang the pictures up. And I could have had her to do it, but I decided I'll figure it out. Meanwhile, the fear, the first thing we talked about, kept stopping me from doing it because every time I'd pull them out, there were even times I had them leaning against the wall on the floor. That's where I was, guys. Don't make fun of me because you've done some silly stuff like that too before as well. It's not just me. But I had them leaning against the wall in the room I wanted them to be in, too scared to hang them on a nail, ma'am. And that is because I knew I didn't know the right way to do it. But why didn't I get help? A lot of times we decide that something is too easy for us to need help, yet we are being stuck not knowing how to do it. We are allowing ourselves to go after the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff, setting the statues and vases on the table, the little figurines and stuff that I had that were out hanging that I could move anytime, but I wasn't doing the big things. See, when I bought those things at Target, I was attracted first to the pictures, if I remember correctly. That's what I really wanted. I bought the rest of it because it was on sale. But what I really wanted, I did not get to enjoy. And some of you, what you really want in your business, which is the time flexibility, which is the financial freedom, which is the ability to move about as you want to, you're not enjoying that while you're playing with your little hobby business on the weekends. Because I'm going to be honest with you, MJ's never going to lie to you. When you have a business where you're spending $3,000 or $4,000 in inventory and you're making $500 every 6 months, you're not in business. What you have is a hobby. It's an expensive hobby. Like golf can be an expensive hobby, and there's other, like swimming sometimes can be an expensive hobby. Wine collecting can be an expensive hobby, and so is your so-called business if you're not making back the money you're putting into it. If you have no strategy for making back the money that you're putting into it. And here's what's true. Sometimes in the beginning, and most times, especially in a boutique or a shop or retail situation, you're going to lay out more money than is coming in at first. You cannot be waiting to sell all of your inventory before you can buy more. Like that's true. I hear people talking about that. I'm waiting till I sell everything before I sell more. That's not what stores do. When you go in a store such as Target, they sold me those things I'm talking about that I bought in 2005 at I'm going to say at a loss, even though I'm sure they were marked up so much they didn't really lose even when I got them on clearance. But they were doing that because they had to make room for other stuff to come in. So before they could sell everything, they bought more stuff. When you look at a store, you never see them like empty and then all of a sudden more stuff comes in. If you want to be a retailpreneur, you have to be in a position to know how to have a constant churn of your inventory in and out. And you can't wait till you sell everything before you can buy more. If you're doing that, that's a hobby. Nothing wrong with a hobby business if that's what you want. But for those of you who want your freedom, for those of you who want to be liberated from your cubicle prison, for those of you who, if you have to work another 3 or 4 months in that job without some hope, you're going to go postal. For those of you who are sick of being underpaid and overworked, for those of you who are suffering from health effects from having your job, for you, you can't afford a hobby business. You can't afford to take 10, 15 years to figure it out on your own. You need to get some help. Like me, I should have asked for help for hanging my pictures. That could have been solved in 15 minutes. Mom could have come over. She could have said, put them two there, put that one over there. And I would have trusted her, hung them up there, and would have enjoyed it. But what did I do? I decided I'm going to figure it out on my own. Meanwhile, the fear was stopping me every day. Meanwhile, the fear of not knowing what to do and literally just not knowing what to do to make the house look really good, it stopped me time and time again, because that's not the only time. There were other times in my decorating before I kind of learned how to do it myself that I didn't ask for help and I botched it. I didn't ask for help and I lost opportunities. And while it may seem like, okay, MJ, you're just talking about decorating, guess what? The same mentalities that affected me in decorating for a while affected me in entrepreneurship until I looked beyond it and I saw what's really true. What's really true is the cost of not succeeding, the cost of not getting out there, getting your boutique off the ground, getting your shop launched is much more than any mistake you could ever make, with or without guidance. Let's say it that way, because think about all the time that you are not getting to enjoy the lifestyle of your dreams, all the money that you're not making, all the times you can't travel when you want to, or take care of your aging parents, or send your kids to college, and whatever those other things are that you want to enjoy, the reasons that you want to have your boutique, all the time you're missing out doing that, all of the opportunities you're missing out on while you're chained to a desk, making somebody else rich, another entrepreneur who really was willing to take a risk on their dream. That's the real cost of not doing your business, of not getting it off the ground. And I'm not talking about just ham scamming it, because again, you can go hard on your business and still screw it up because you don't know what you're doing. But not doing anything at all is still worse than whatever could be, whatever mistakes you could make. Not taking a chance on it is much, much worse, because what you can't get back, what's more valuable than money is time. Right? You might be afraid, I don't want to borrow $30,000 for my business, because what if it fails? If I hear one more person focusing on failure when you say you want to have $1 million business, I'm going to scream. What if you succeed? You're worrying about not taking out that business loan because you don't want to be in debt. I'm going to talk about debt. I'm going to have to do a whole video on that. But you're worrying about that. Meanwhile, you're underpaid $60,000 a year based on your skill set. You either say amen or say ouch, because I'm not talking about what I think, I'm talking about what I know. What you're missing out on, all the time you're missing out on with your kids or with your spouse or with your family, or just all the peace of mind you're missing out of, the health that's being sabotaged because you're not where you want to be. You're not walking in your purpose. That's worth more than any business loan you could take out, any education that you can go back and get. Any of that is not worth nearly what you're missing out on because you're afraid. I missed out on years of seeing those cute little African pictures on my wall. Now, I enjoy them now, and I will probably have them up for another 8, 9, 10 years or more to make up for the time I didn't. But I will never again stop myself out of fear. What if I make the wrong choice? Not making a choice is the wrong choice, right? Because you are still making a choice. And doing that is is much worse than any error you could constantly make. Because again, instead of looking as making a mistake as a failure, look at it as a lesson, right? What did you learn from doing it wrong that time? And then get up and start over again. But here's what's also true. There's a flip side of that mistake coin. Every time you make a mistake because of what you don't know, it sets you back, right? It not only just from a discouragement standpoint, it sets you back from a time perspective. Remember, time is more valuable than money. Money can always be replaced, but time cannot be. And every time you screw up and it devastates you or you're disappointed in yourself, it makes it that much harder to get going again, especially if you have certain personality types. Some people, no matter how many times they get knocked down, they take a lick and they keep on ticking. And there are those personality types. But then there are those out there that are more risk averse, that are more sensitive to those mistakes. And every time you make a mistake, not because you had to, but because you didn't get help, that's going to make it that much harder to start again. Every time you spend $5,000 or $10,000 on inventory and it's in a box in your closet and you don't know how to sell it, that makes it harder to go out there and do it again, because you know you messed up that time and you don't have a plan for what's coming up. See, it's not okay. It's okay to not know what you don't know, right? What's not okay is to continue moving forward stubbornly like I did, saying, I don't need no help. I can hang these pictures and still not hang them for 12 years, right? Moving forward and saying, I can figure this out. I can just go on YouTube or Google and somehow figure out how to make $1 million business, not 15 years from now, but now, like in the next couple of years. It just doesn't work like that, because if it did, wouldn't more people be successful? Wouldn't more people have already left their jobs and been full-time entrepreneurs? Wouldn't more boutiques be making 6 or 7 figures? Yes, it would. The people that are at that level, I guarantee, either you're going to pay one of two ways. You're either going to pay financially by doing the things you need to do to learn what you need to learn and purchase what you need to purchase so that your business can come out the gate swinging, or you're going to pay with time. And remember, time is much more valuable. Time is what you can't get back. So sure, if you keep at it the way you are, maybe in 10, 15 years, you might have made a profit and broke through and get there. But if you're like me, if you're at the phase of life where I really am, not the one I imagine I'm at, but the one I am chronologically, you can't take for granted time. Really, young people can't take time for granted, but you definitely can after you've had a whole career in corporate America or in the government or wherever it is you work. After you've spent that kind of time and you look back and you realize it seems like yesterday you were 20 and now you're 40. Where did the years go? Do you have another 20 years to try to piddle around on Google and Instagram to figure out how other people were able to make it in 2 or 3 years? Of course you don't. You need to find somebody who can walk alongside of you and show you step by step what it is you need to do. Hold your hand, answer your questions, and guide you around the minefields. Because everybody who's out there who has succeeded, who you do see blowing up, they are not in business to sit with you for hours at a time and walk you through step by step what they do. I know you want to ask them, hey sis, what'd you do to get help? And it seems like they're not being helpful. There's one or two reasons. Either they don't want to help because they figured you need to learn the same way they did. They're not looking for competition. or sometimes they just don't have time. Sometimes they may not be succeeding as much as you think they are. And they don't know how to tell you because they are kind of eking by on their own, or maybe they have kind of figured out what to do, but they're not just going to give it to you. It takes money to make money, and people are not out here just giving things away. It sounds good to say, man, people need to just be willing to help. But once you get in business for yourself and you know the value of your time and you know the value of what things are in the marketplace, you won't necessarily be giving it away either. And you shouldn't be expected to. Just like you want your customers to pay you what you're worth, you have to also think that you're worth investing in. You have to be willing to invest in finding out the right ways to do it and moving forward as quickly as you can to claim the dream that you have of owning a retail shop or boutique. You don't have to be like MJ and take 12 years to hang 3 pictures. It doesn't have to be you that it takes you 12 years to launch a successful boutique, because like I tell y'all all the time, having a website does not mean you're in business if the answer to how much money you've made in the last 3 months is 0. That's a hobby. When people start paying you for it and paying you what you're worth for it, I ain't talking about freebies and people asking for hookups and all that. I'm talking about a real business where strangers pay you what you want to be paid and what's fair and what allows you to make a profit. Until you're there, you have a hobby. And I don't want you to be sitting in 5-10 years with a hobby, making money on the side while you still stuck in that job. I'll tell you how you can tell if you still have a hobby. Where are you going tomorrow morning to make your money? Are you going into your home office to work it out, fill some orders, do whatever it is? Or are you going over there to that place or logging into somebody else's laptop to make them some money? I learned from these pictures that I have owned for now 16 years, a lot, if not everything that I need to know about having the guts, the tenacity, the wherewithal to start a business. It's never not scary. It's never easy. It's never free. And it's not easy. It's not free. And it's never going to be without fear. Every entrepreneur, if they're playing on any kind of level, is afraid every time they make a move. They just do it anyway. So if you're looking for a time when you're not afraid, when you're like, I don't want to spend that, I don't want to invest that. If you don't feel like that, you're not playing a big enough game. But guess what? The rewards you want are just on the other side of that fear, on the other side of that grit and tenacity, on the other side of doing the things that are difficult. But guess what? Just because it's not easy doesn't mean it cannot be made a whole lot simpler if you have the guidance you need to make the right steps or as many of the right moves as you can and avoid the issues that you are going to run into if you're winging it and doing it on your own. And if you are tired of winging it, if you are tired of being like me with the elephants for 12 years and not hanging them on the wall, sitting on your business ideas since you were a teenager, if you're ready now in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever you are in life to take a real step towards achieving your dream, then I invite you to reach out and let's have a conversation. I'm offering free breakthrough calls in the next couple of business days to people who are serious. If you're just a looky-loo, if you're just curious of what MJ's like on the phone, don't book a call with me. I don't have time for that. I'm looking for the women who want to be free this year, who want to have a solid plan, a strategy for getting off that desk and out of that cubicle in the next few months. That's who I'm looking for at MelanieHunter.com/chat. Melanie with 2 L's, hunter.com/chat. If you are ready to move forward, if you're ready to do it scared, if you're ready to invest in yourself, if you're ready to find out the right way to get the picture hung up on the wall, so to speak, to launch your dream boutique, it starts with a decision and a phone call. Because again, if you knew all the steps, you would probably not be watching this video. You'd be out there doing it. And it's okay if you don't know. What's not okay is to not know and to still stubbornly refuse to get help. And I'm here to help you, but we need to have a conversation first. www.melaniehunter.com/chat. Be sure to fill out the application that pops up afterwards if you want to fully confirm and reserve your slot on my calendar. I don't have that many slots open, so go ahead and make your appointment right now, and we will chat soon. It's been my pleasure to share with you about my picture and what it taught me about starting my shop. I hope that you guys have a phenomenal rest of the day. Again, if you need help, be honest with yourself and be willing to take that first scary step to move towards your dream by booking your call right now. It's been my pleasure to share with you. I look forward to sharing with you again on this Friday. And until then, book your call and continue moving towards your dream. And we will talk soon. Bye.